Hey guys, it's Tim Miller with the Bulwark here, and just now at the White House press briefing, this little twerp, Peter Doocey, who is the Fox White House reporter, was asking a question to KJP, the press secretary at the White House, about Kamala Harris's accent, like whether she is developing an accent. It is smug and it is douchey. I want us to watch the whole thing, and in the back, I think that there are some subliminal issues here that are worth going over. So let's watch Peter Doocey, and more importantly, let's watch KJP just shut him down.
Since when does the vice president have what sounds like a southern accent?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Well,
I mean, this is...
she was talking about unions in Detroit using one tone of voice.
Is this something that
same
you think...
line.
Okay, Peter.
That she used the same line in Pittsburgh, and it sounded like she at least had some kind of a southern drawl.
I mean, do you hear the question that you're... I mean, do you think Americans seriously think that this is an important question? They care... You know what they care about? They care about the economy. They care about lowering costs. They care about health care. That's what Americans care about.
So
that's what they want to hear.
This is something...
They care about, your colleague just asked me about, what basically we talked about, went back and forth about democracy and freedom. That's what they care about. I'm not even going to entertain some question about the president. It's just, hearing it sounds so ridiculous.
Well, but hearing it is...
The question, I'm talking about the questions, is just insane.
Is that how she talks in meetings here?
I'm just... Peter, we're moving on. We're still moving around. Go ahead, Anita.
Thanks. Starting with Ukraine and this recent attack, has there shifted these...
Okay, interesting exchange there with Peter Doocey.
All right, so kudos to Karine Jean-Pierre there, KJP, and just being like, we're moving on. We're moving on, Peter. So I think there are two elements here that we're talking about. The shallow, obvious element is like this is pathetic hackery from Fox News. It is just shameful from Peter Doocey that that he just has a little troublemaking grin on his face. Like we need to get to a point where if you're going to be in the White House press room, you've got to at least ask serious questions of the White House. You cannot just be a Republican operative in disguise, or a Democratic operative in disguise for that matter, like asking bad faith BS questions in the hopes of getting, something that they can post on MAGA TikTok. Like that's not journalism. All right. That's not reporting. And, not like there is a lot of reporting and journalism accountability over at Fox, but, if there's any dignity left in people like Paul Ryan, or the board members or the Murdoch family, Lachlan Murdoch, you would think that a note would be sent down. That's like, we can't have our White House reporter acting like a fucking clown like that in the White House press room. But I think probably that's not happening because they want him to be a clown. So there's that element of this. The Fox BS, KJP really, I think, has grown into the role and shutting him down and not dealing with his BS. Even much more effectively than kind of at the beginning of her tenure. So I think that's also noteworthy. But I want to get at where he was going with this. I've been seeing a lot of these attacks on Kamala Harris on the MAGA media outlets that I monitor. J.D. Vance even alluded to this once at a campaign stop.
Kamala Harris is a phony who caters to whatever audience is in front of her. I don't know if you saw this, but earlier this week, look up the clip. She went down to Georgia and started talking with a fake Southern accent.
They're trying to play into this notion that she's phony because she's changing the way that she talks, right? Like that's what's really happening here. They're trying to make us a political argument that whatever, she flip-flopped on issues and she's also a phony person. And it's based on, actually, let's just play the main clip in question. The New York Post, I saw the New York Post posting this on social media like just before Peter Doocey asked that question. So if there's any doubt that this is not some coordinated effort by Murdoch world and by the Republicans in MAGA world, I think that we can get rid of that doubt because I just seen this clip right before Doocey. So let's just watch it really quick.
Person in our nation has benefited from that work. Everywhere I go, I tell people, you may not be a union member, but you better thank unions for that 5-day work week. You better thank a union member for sick leave. You better thank a union member for paid leave. You better thank a union member for vacation time. So, friends, 64 days. until the most election of our lives. Let's just get through the next 64 days. How about that? And you all helped us win in 2020. And in 2024, we will win again. And you all helped us win in 2020, and we're going to do it again in 2024. Yes, we will. She's going to jail. Well, the courts will handle that, and we will handle November. How about that? Here's the thing. The courts are going to handle that. We're going to beat them in November. We're going to beat them in November.
So there it is. She's in front of that Detroit audience, and she's turning it up a little bit. She's turning it up. There's no doubt about that. But like, that is just human. Like, that is how normal humans act. You know, I moved to Louisiana. I'm guilty of it. You give me 4 whiskeys, and I start getting a little drawl in me. It is how humans act. This like notion about code switching. Obviously, that's something that's been very it's talked about a lot in Black culture, right? Like kind of code switching between talking around your family, your friends versus like being in other settings. Feeling like you have to kind of adjust a little bit the way that you talk to not face discrimination or to engender goodwill with somebody that's from a different community. Like, that's like a human instinct, right? Like with gays, there's a code switching element to this. My husband's out there downstairs. This is an upstairs studio. Sometimes I'll come down the stairs and he'll be like, yeah, you're distracting me because I heard you using your straight voice up there when you were talking about this, that, or the other thing. And, or like for myself, even at a lighter notion, like my podcast voice is a little bit different from my TV voice, right? There's like a formalness that you want to have sometimes when you're on in a television setting. The amount of cussing that I do is different when I'm around my father or my grandmother. God rest her soul, than it is around my buddies, right? Like these are all like basic human interactions. And what the Republicans are trying to do here is do a combination attack on Kamala that she's phony, and also do this racial dog whistle that she's not really Black, right? Like there's this notion that if a Black person is code switching, and talking in one way, around, within their community, and talking another way when they're in a more formal setting, like that's a sign that they're phony. But that just totally misunderstands the experience of being in a marginalized group, right? And it's not an experience that I know firsthand, like being a white person, but like the relatability of, I know what that's like within the context of being a gay person, and like the gay and code switching and talking a little bit different when you're with your girlies than you do when you're on a work conference call. Like it's a standard human experience. And what you have now is the right trying to take that and in a subtle way, in a more deft way, attack Kamala Harris's racial identity. It's the same. Let's just be clear. It's the same attack on her racial identity as Donald Trump's was when he said that she turned Black. Right? Like that's what this is. Like they're saying that she's turning Black when she's talking a certain way, and that in some ways, that is something that should be snickered at or mocked or demeaned, particularly from a bigoted perspective. And I found it very gross. I find it also, I'm not saying it's going to be politically effective, but one of the reasons why I wanted to talk about it was because I think that for people that don't have that experience, right? Like for people that are in, particularly all white, kind of majority white communities and friend groups and family groups, like that don't have the experience of, being with immigrant communities or Black communities or gay or whatever, like it might resonate with them, right? Like this notion that like, oh, that's kind of weird that you would change your affect a little bit depending on the context. And so I think it's important to like for people to understand like what is really happening here. Why code switching is a totally human, a totally empathetic, totally rational tool, like for somebody that is, trying to connect and trying to ensure that other people are comfortable in a bunch of different settings. It's not surprising to me at all that there'd be like a little bit of that, a hint of that for somebody like Kamala, given her mixed race background. And I think that what is underneath all of that like should be explained. And it's important that people understand it, because these fuckers are going to keep tweaking, right? They're going to keep tweaking. They're going to keep trying to find a way to attack her racial identity. It gets the same as the birtherism stuff that Obama did. It's the same as Trump trying to say that she didn't really work at McDonald's. It's the same as the she just turned black thing. All of this is like they're trying to find different frequencies to make this same point, to kind of undermine her and attack her racial identity without, going all the way to saying the you-know-what word. So anyway, I wanted to hop on here really quick and respond to that. Kudos to KJP for her response. And, as stuff is breaking, you can always make sure to get our analysis right here on the Bulwark YouTube feed. Make sure to subscribe. We'll see you soon. Hey, if you like this video and our content, I'd love for you to become a Bulwark Plus subscriber. You get access to bonus podcasts, secret podcasts, and newsletters we put out every day, plus some behind-the-scenes takes that I don't always post on this feed. In addition, you can become part of the Bulwark community. Come over to our Substack and comment and meet other like-minded people. We'd love to have you. Starting today, you can get a free trial at thebulwark.com/free trial. The link is right here on the screen and below in the description. We'd love to have you as part of our community. Come on and give it a free try today.